Hello and welcome everyone. If you are new here, my name is Rafsan Husseinov and I'm an IT program manager who loves sharing insights and tips about citizen development and Microsoft 365 applications, including Power Apps, Power Automate, SharePoint, Loop, Copilot, and so on. Today, we are going to explore how we can leverage Microsoft Loop for project management purposes. So whether you are a seasoned project manager or just starting out, stick around because I will show you how you can use pre-built templates in Microsoft Loop for your project planning. Let's get started. If you are new to Microsoft Loop or want a refresher, check out my introductory video on Microsoft Loop. You'll find a link right above. It's a great starting point and will help you get the most out of today's discussion. Now let's jump into Microsoft Loop. So to get access to Microsoft Loop, if you use Microsoft 365, you can go to App Launcher and launch Microsoft Loop from there, or simply go to loop.cloud.microsoft and click enter. And you will be landed in Microsoft Loop Workspaces. Think of Workspaces as a dedicated area for your projects. So here, as you can see, I have two projects currently, and for each project, I have a dedicated workspace. So if I click any of them, this will take me to the workspace. And under workspace, you might have different pages. Here, as you can see, I have my first page, which is about project initiation. That basically provide information. What's the purpose of our project? Who are the key stakeholders, and so on. Now, let's say we are done with project initiation and we want to start with project planning. Let's go ahead and create a new page. To do that, go to the plus icon and click and select new page. Here we have two options. First of all, let's collapse the navigation bar so we can have more space. Here we have two options. First, we can start from scratch, or we can start with pre-built templates. And in the bottom side, as you can see, these are some of the pre-built templates. If you want to see all of them, simply click Template Gallery. And you can see there are so many great options here based on your need. So I will exit from here. For our project planning, I want to use project planning template. And you have again here two options. The first one, you can include sample data from Microsoft, or you can just use template without sample data. So I'll click the toggle this on, and then click use this template. So let's start from top. So here we can change our cover, click update cover, and you have options here. You can choose any option from this list. As of now, you can't upload any image from your, let's say, device. So I'm assuming in the future that might change, but right now you can only choose from this list. So I will choose this one and click update. So as you can see, this is updated. Here you can also change the icon. I kind of like icons for each page, because if you extend this, you can see these icons might help differentiate your page. So let's get back to our page. Here we call project planning. If you want to be more specific, you can also name this. I might say project planning process group according to PMBOK guide. And one of the things that I really like here, it guides the users for each step how to use this template. So if you use this a couple of times, you don't need this. You can go ahead and delete this. And if you scroll down, the first thing you see here is basically status in progress. I really like this because if our stakeholders, when they take a look at this template, they can see that, okay, they are currently progressing in project planning stage. And anytime you are done, you can click not started, off track, completed, and so on. I think, again, like to start with, this is a great way to convey the information about our project planning process group. The second one is roles. Again, this template is just a starting point. You can change the order of these elements, depends on your project needs, but I kind of like the roles because team members can see their roles, their names, and I would like to also go ahead a little bit customize this. So first of all, I like team member name first. So all I can do, like choose the field and then drag and drop in the first area here, you can see. And I don't like assigning name, I like calling team member. On the other hand, from project management perspective, team member roles can provide high-level information, but sometimes you need to specify responsibilities. What you can do here, you can add a new column. By the way, there are two ways that you can add column. The first option is you can click plus icon here, and this will add a new column, new field, or you can simply come here and click open detail view, and you can also add field here. So here again, I will say responsibilities, and now you can specify responsibilities of each team member. For example, you can add the same way like project lead or project manager. And yeah, I think this looks good. The component that we use here is table-based component, as you can see. So you can add more columns, you can add additional rows, or you can simply select the row and click delete, and this will delete it for you. So let's scroll down. Background context. I honestly like starting this background context because a lot of time what happens, we start projects without background context, and team members, they just, whether they are confused or they ask questions to get more clarity. So what I would do anytime I start project planning, I would start first team roles, their responsibilities, and then provide information about why we are here. So provide the background context so that they can get more idea about this session. Also like opportunity statement here that provides a good level of information about why we are moving forward this planning session. Let's say scope creep happened to your project and you don't want to integrate this planning session with your existing project plan. So what you can do, you can start having a dedicated session for that scope creep and create a sub project using that scope creep. So you provide current state information and what's the impact to your project or what's the impact to your overall success. So provide this impact and then desired state. And desired state is something that's why you are doing this planning, so that each team member can contribute project success. I think this is really great. In every project, what I would recommend when you start project planning session, add what's included in your scope and what's not included in your scope. So let's do this. I will go ahead and add an emoji. Let's say I like using star, and I will say in scope, and then highlight this and make this header 1 so that will make it stand out. And under that you can specify what's in scope. So for example, in scope can be developing completely new Power Apps application. And then again, you can add 2, 3, even 4 bullet points here, but I would suggest be concise. You don't need to add more details because Simplicity is the key. And then add information about what's not in our scope. So same, I will click / and go to emoji picker. I will choose the stop icon here and then use out of scope. Highlight this again and choose H1. And this time I will say what's out of scope. Why this is important? Because now that we provide information, hey, we will not integrate with on-prem database for now. Along the way, team members, now that they have idea about out of scope, they will not ask that question. So now let's say we have enough information. So what I would like to do, I will add a divider, kind of divide project planning session elements. For example, if you scroll up, you will see high level information about project. And if you scroll down, now we are getting into the details. For example, assignments. Let's say before project planning, we gather the user feedback and our users expect this feature or additional work in this project. This template is very much like that. I typically don't use assignment parts here, but it's up to you, you can keep it. And the goals, every project and planning session should have goals. I really like prioritizing project work based on the priority. Like, we have so many goals, but which ones will contribute and generate more value for our project, for our organization? That's how I would suggest creating priorities, and choose them wisely, because otherwise, if you choose medium or low priority, that will generate the value, but you may not get the value you expected. And for future projects, that can be challenging to get buy-in from your stakeholders. So choose it wisely. Milestones. There are like high-level milestones here, and every milestone, you know that it's basically an important step in every project to accomplish. So here, in this template, it's little different. It says about work area, owner, status, end date, obstacles. So from project management perspective, I kind of like integrating milestones to my project plan. So I don't usually keep them separate. So we will start creating that our own template in this session, and you will see that I integrate milestones to my project plan. But these are this can be, like, I would say, work streams instead of milestones. And bottom side, there is relevant links here. This is really great. I really like this, because let's say you have business plan stored in your PowerPoint, right? So you can store that information in SharePoint and bring the link here. So now let's start with our own template. Let's say you can keep using this, but now let's add our own template or create a table for our project plan. So anytime you want to add a component in Microsoft Loop, all you need, just click / and choose from this list. There are so many great options here. And first of all, I would like to have another divider and call this task management, and highlight this and make it stand out again, and then go bottom and another / and click table. So let's now customize our table. The first one it's already by default at the numbers. We can use this as a task ID, and let's call this task. Let's call this description. Sometimes I've seen some project templates, like they nicely add information about task ID, task, team member assigned, but they don't necessarily add description field. But I think description should be part of any task template, because let's say you plan your project today. In 2 months later, team member can forget about task, and sometimes your task names are not descriptive enough. So that's why you add task name and then you add description so the team member can get more information. I will add a new column and call this dependency. And dependency in project management is really important. For example, if your two tasks can have different relationship, for example, finish to start, that means that I need to complete this first task in order to move on to the next task, or can have different relationship in a way of start to start. So both tasks can be implemented concurrently. So dependencies are very important. If you use any robust project management software, these are built-in capabilities. You don't need to do it manually. We don't have that option here. So what you can do, you can specify in this field that what dependency this task has. So let's add another column. I will call this team member, or you can say assign to, and here we can change the data column type. So what you can do here, you can keep it as is, like right now is text, or you can make it person. One of the drawback of making this person data type, anytime you add a task and assign team member, they will receive email. Sometimes it's good, but let's say you are planning this and you have certain task for just one team member. That means that every time you add their names, they will receive a email. So that can be overwhelming. So just keep this in mind. On the other hand, we can have duration. So this is going to be number type. So we can specify duration an hour or days, but ideally we should estimate duration based on the effort that it will take to complete the task. For example, instead of saying this task will take 2 days, we can say, based on my past experience, this task takes this much effort, and this effort equals to 2 days, 3 days. So just keep in mind that a lot of time your team members, they are not only doing one project, they might do couple different projects, so they dedicate only 20% of their time. So that's why it's important to have first estimate the time or effort it will take to complete the task, and then come up with the duration. Add a new column and call this start date, and choose the data time date. And we can also add another column, call this due date. If you use any robust project management software, you know that ideally you set the project start date upfront, so that anytime you add duration for each task, start date and due date align with that. So that means that due date will not include weekends. Then let's add another column here, call this progress. This is going to be our status column. Change the column type. One of the column types here is label, and there are already some values here that we can leverage, or we can create our own label group. So I will just choose progress. So one of the things that I really like, as I mentioned earlier regarding the milestones, I really like adding milestone information to our project plan. So what I will do, I will create another label group and call this milestone. And option 1 is going to be plan. Option 2 is going to be design. Option 3 is build. Option 4 is test. And option 5, let's say deploy. And save. And now we have it. This is very helpful because later, let's say we have 200 tasks. Having milestones will help us to filter in a level that we can filter our task based on each milestone, and that will narrow down the selection. So, and also what I would like to do, I would like to add notes. The reason, because let's say team member mentions that for his or her task there is delay, so they can make it off track, but sometimes we need more information, so that they can also specify why task is delayed, and then we can start creating mitigation plan and so on. We don't have critical path information here. Again, this is just simple template, we can use it. But I think, as I said, if you use Excel for your project tracking, this can certainly replace that. So let's go ahead and populate some field. For example, let's say in Power Apps project, the first thing we need to do is define project scope and objectives. We can add description. We can choose milestone. This is always the planning milestone. Dependency. Usually first task in project management doesn't have any dependency. Team member going to be project manager, me. And as soon as I add my name here, this triggers email to my Outlook saying that you've been assigned to a task. So we can add duration information, and I can say, okay, defining project scope and objectives will take 2 days of work. I say 2 days. So start date is going to be, for some reason it shows old calendar, just click go today, and today is Sunday, that means I can start today, and I will click Monday, and due date is going to be, so if I click go to today, if I start Monday and duration will take 2 days, then by the end of Tuesday I should be able to complete this. So progress, I can specify in progress, and I don't have any notes. So let's come back to our first column and add another task. By the way, if I check my Outlook, this shows that I was assigned to a new task. And if you look at here, it's really great. It shows entire page information for me, and here we are, I can see it, and there is a link here. If I click, this will take me to the loop page. Fantastic. So let's add another project information. Again, for planning phase you obviously have many tasks, but let's add another task, but this time for design phase. We can say create a wireframe for Power Apps app. That's a Canvas app. And description, you can add any description. You can say using Figma to create a design wireframe. And milestone is going to be design. Dependency, as I said, there is no built-in dependency field here. We can say plan phase has to be done. So that means that I need to complete entire planning tasks before I start design phase. Great. So team member going to be Alex, and duration, let's say this can take 2 days. And let's say we complete all the project planning task next week. Since this will take 2 days, so we can confidently say that by the end of Tuesday, Alex will complete the wireframe. And let's say it's in progress and there's no notes. So let's see in different view. If I click switch view, here is the board view. So if I complete this, this will mark as complete. We can add card. We can design this in a Kanban way, showing that first our backlog to do, then doing, in review, and done. So I think board view is really great if you are implementing agile project management. So let's switch back. Here, what I can do, I can create Power Automate like rules. So here, click rules. For some reason, when you click, it says new rules can be created here on desktop browser. So let's click here. Let's collapse this. So now I think I can create those rules. Okay, we are here. If I click create rules, what I want, when the progress column becomes equals to completed, I want automation to be sent to my email providing information. To do that, first we need to give permission to Microsoft Loop to get access to our account. Click next. And now let's specify some information here. Let's say who needs completion information? Project manager. And who is the project manager? In this case, I'm the project manager. I will specify my email here. And I also want specific subject, because we receive hundreds of emails, right? So we need that information in order to see, okay, this is the project related work. So I will say this task is complete. What I would like to see in the future from Microsoft Loop side, like Power Automate like dynamic field information, that if you use Power Automate, you can actually specify, let's say here dynamically, this task, you can specify the task ID is complete, dynamic value. That would be really great feature, I think. Now create flow. Now we have our first rule. So let's test it. So let's say this task is complete. If I mark this completed, Microsoft Loop will trigger an email to my Outlook account saying that this task is complete. Let's wait a second and go to our Outlook. Okay, so we just received an email. And as I said, since we specify the subject, it says this task is complete, shows the field name, modified to which value, by whom. And that's a great information, and it shows dates as well. So if I click loop page, this will take me to loop page, but ideally what I would like to see here in the future, deep linking. So this link should take me to that specific row. So I don't have to scroll up and scroll down to find that information. But so far I think it's good. Now let's make another rule. Let's say some team members, they receive hundreds of emails and they don't want to check their Outlook. So we can create another rule same progress becomes equals, and select, this time I will choose off track, and automation, this time instead of Outlook I will choose Teams, and continue. Let's give permission to Loop so that it can get access to our Microsoft account too. Click next. And here again, let's specify receiver. In this case, I will just put myself again and click create flow. As you can see, now we have two rules. And if I come back here and if I say off track, now this will send a message to my Teams. So let's go to Teams. Let's click chat. We just received. So if we go to workflows, the same information that we received in Outlook, it's here. So I think that's a great way for automation. We can also expand our table here. If you click expand, this doesn't necessarily make table to fit the screen, but rather make the table one side to fit the edge of screen. It's great. So let's come back. We can also export this to our Excel. Just simply click exporting to Excel. Let's say you don't want to share this information in a dynamic way. You just want to share this using Excel table. So you can do that too. So let's say you have this information, like you specify all the tasks. Beneath that, you can create another table for communication management. Again, let's make this two stand out. And this time we can also create another table for our communication planning, right? So let's say stakeholder, frequency, channel, and responsible. And we can specify the message. Anytime we have communication, what message we are trying to send out. So that's great. We can do the same thing for our risk management and so on. You get the idea. Now let's say in one page, you start with high-level information. You have your task list. You have your communication management plan. And you have your risk management plan, and you add all the project related documentation links here. And you have your Teams group. You can copy this page, come to Teams, and let's add a loop here. Right now there is no option of adding loop application here. What we can do, we can click a website and paste our URL here, save, and we can rename our website name here. Save. So here now team members, they don't even need to go to Loop app. They can update the information here. So one of the beauty of Microsoft Loop, it's sync capabilities. Even though I'm right now in the Teams, I can add information. For example, check plan. And if I come back here to Loop app, let's scroll up, it's right here. The sync capabilities in Loop, it's so fantastic that You don't have to have 10, 15 open applications. You can update anywhere you want your loop components and it will sync the progress. And this is perfect. And sometimes you don't want to share entire page. What you can do, you can create a loop component. So now you can see it created a nice loop component, and we can copy this and we can share with our stakeholders. This way, they will only get the information about project component that they need. And from the security perspective, that's very important, because that way they don't get access to entire component. Rather, they see only specific component. If I click, let's say team member clicks the link that I shared with them, they will only see this part, even though this part is part of my loop page. So I think you get the idea. So that's it for today, folks. I hope you now feel ready to plan your projects in Microsoft Loop. If you find this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe for more citizen development and Microsoft 365 tips. Got questions or suggestions? Drop them in the comments and I will get back to you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.